All right, there has been concern over the rising number of suicide cases in the country. While some have been blaming it on the harsh economic times, the lack of strong policies and weak healthcare systems to manage and mitigate mental illness are some of the catalysts for this worrying trend. But just what goes on in the mind of a suicidal person? KTN News' Husna Mohammed tries to explore these dark thoughts. She also speaks to experts to help you understand and know how to help that person who might be in need of help. And I'll leave you with this particular feature by Husna. My name is Trix Ingado, and our sign language interpreter tonight was Damian Evans. Do have yourself a good night.
Harms themselves with the goal of ending their own life, only that they do not succeed. But what really goes on in the mind of a suicidal person?
We don't really know what is going on in their mind because there's a lot going on. For instance, most of them feel that the world has come to an end, that life is meaningless, and although they are trying to reconstruct it, it's not coming out as well as it should. That a lot of them have what is called cognitive dissonance. That is, they do not have the sort of reality that most of us have. When you have challenges in life, most of us feel that we need to resolve the issues going on in our lives. But for people who contemplate suicide, they tend to think that the world has sort of come to an end. So they are looking for the solution inside themselves rather than outside where they are. And that is why the contact with the first person is very important, to comfort the person, to tell them that there is hope, to tell them that life is much more meaningful than what they are thinking about, and to also tell them that life has sort of a success at the very end. The success may not be as best as we wished, but there is need for us to offer hope.
Hope that often is easier said than done, ever spoken of, but never offered until it is too late.
You begin to say, this life is not worthy living. It is giving me pain more than the joy that I should have. That's the way that they reason. And by the way, they sit back, many of them, and say, no, these thoughts of mine are crazy. They don't make sense. And then, even though at some stage they argue and they appreciate that they are not normal ideas, they keep on coming back. And a time will come when they say they can commit suicide. Where they have taken something or tried to hang themselves, they will have walked through a process before they get there. And when we see that, we get alarmed, not knowing that this is something that started some time back or has been there for a long time until we get to this stage.
Surprisingly, most troubled nations in the world report low suicide rates. It is like amid the instability, the hope to live another day keeps the populations going. According to the World Population Review, Afghanistan, for example, records 4.1 suicides out of 100,000 people. Iraq reports 3.6, while Syria's rates stand at 2.0 out of a similar number of persons. It is not clear if these statistics for the mentioned nations reflect suicide committed due to mental health problems and terminal illnesses only. However, mental and terminal conditions are the key drivers of suicide in most parts of the world. Africa has the world's highest cases of death by suicide. Here, 11.2 out of 100,000 people end their lives each year. This is higher than the average rate of 9 out of 100,000 people. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people aged between 15 and 29. In Kenya, it is estimated that at least 4 Kenyans die by suicide every day, with an average 20 times as many attempting suicide. With many cases going unreported or unspoken of, these could be conservative figures. While most suicidal persons exhibit obvious signs, most cases go unnoticed until it is too late.
We see him developing temperature, we see him not able to breathe properly, or somebody who is malaria, or flu, and they are sneezing. Are you going to blame them for sneezing? Or are you going to find out the treatment for that? The problem is, one of them is a physical condition, and therefore we tend to sympathize with the physical symptoms, because they are symptoms of a more underlying illness. So suicide is a symptom of an underlying illness, and they don't choose to get they don't choose to get that illness.
In their minds, they believe that the absence is the best option. Like still waters reflecting the beauty of a sunset over a lake, they try as much possible to conceal these signs by fronting an air of peace and self-control.
They sort of feel they are a burden to other people. You see, the person sort of feels that they are a burden because nobody understands me, nobody cares what's going on in my life, and therefore they feel like if they end their lives, which is most unfortunate, they will bring solace to their friends, to their family. In other words, they feel that they are a problem, and they are actually trying to resolve that problem by committing suicide and getting out of the way. And that is why you hear most of them saying, I will end up my life so that I will no longer be a disturbance to you. So in counseling psychology, we offer these people hope. We talk to them and we try to ask them to see several ways of coping with their lives and with their situation and with their circumstances, so that in the end, they live like everyone else. Of course, one of the most important things we accept with them is that they could have been trying to find a solution, but that is not the most appropriate solution.
According to experts, suicide and its attempt happen at a time when one is battling deep, if not critical, depression.
We say depression is commonest. A sense of failure, you look backwards, all you see are failures. You look at present, there's nothing going on that seems good to you. You look to the future and you start to say, no, I cannot continue. And some of them actually make plans. Some of them, they go to their families and start giving oral will, not written will, oral will. Bring the children and start saying, if ever anything happened to me, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to know we have issues with that person, and this is where I want to be buried. If you hear that kind of talk, just don't take it for granted.
Most victims follow a common trajectory before finalizing their suicide plans.
The mental illness, suicidal thoughts, suicidal plans, suicidal attempts. The majority follow that trajectory.
Stigma directed at suicide survivors and their kin keeps many from seeking help from experts. This also happens to the relatives of departed victims of suicide.
Oh yeah, we have seen this happen. We didn't know what to make of it. In other words, like we do a psychological post-mortem. It can be done. But it needs to be done in an environment where you want people are free to discuss these issues, just like the way we are discussing.
Suicide is a complex psychosocial behavior that can be linked to underlying neurobiological abnormalities that occur in the brain.
These are the medicines chemicals that occur in a certain part of the brain called limbic region. That's very technical. And that's where you have the pleasure centers. By the time you get to serotonin, it would have started somewhere where there are certain changes to do with the substance that eventually, when they get metabolized, when they get utilized in the body, they lead to a situation where there is deficiency of this chemical substance called serotonin. And now we know it is not just serotonin, there are other things that we do not know. We know there are biological changes in the brain. That's why we give antidepressants. But we also know there are psychological issues that may occur in this particular person. And more importantly, there are social issues. Is it family issue? Is it employment issue?
Most Kenyans are bound by culture and religion. They believe that life is sacred and no human has the right to take it away. The law also echoes this. Suicide is a criminal offense in Kenya that often indicts survivors.
Let's talk about suicide. And that is the only way we will increase awareness, we will then destigmatize it. But if we take them to court because they have attempted suicide, and what do? I'll make sure I die. When I make this attempt, I'll make sure I die. They can take the dead body to court.
By helping those who are challenged, may be the reason to keep our loved ones alive and get them the necessary assistance. But this can only be achieved from a point of understanding. Husna Mohammed, KTN News, Nairobi County.